Hello, all of our Bulletproof Hygiene listeners. Welcome to another week where we hope you are having a wonderful time in patient care and team culture. And today we are going to do some learning together about a really intriguing and what looks to be promising product line. It's called StellaLife. And I've been interested in this product for some time now. And after attending the AOSH conference in September here in Atlanta, and talking to some really highly respected dentists and hygienists that are using this in their practices and hearing their experiential stories, I had to know more. And we're definitely going to dig into the research and details, of course. But before we do, we want to introduce our very special guest today. Today, we have Tracy Jacobs with us. She is currently a rep for StellaLife, and she has been a hygienist for 24 years. And she stepped out of clinical practice about 3 years ago to help really build stronger patient care by becoming a facilitator to hygienists. So she does a lot of coordinating of CE courses and events. She does CPR training and certification, and she represents a couple of different products that bring true health and healing to patients. So welcome, Tracy. We are so grateful to have you here with us today to share your passion and knowledge. And I would love if you could just share a little bit about yourself and how you got on the journey with StellaLife.
Sure. Thanks for having me. As you mentioned, I've been in hygiene for 24 years. I practiced clinically for I guess 21 or so. I'll always keep my license current, and now and again I'll pop in and do some temping just to keep my skills sharp. But I did leave clinical hygiene about 3 years ago to pursue my study club. It's called Wisdom. So with doing that, it seems like other opportunities just seem to pop up, and I just can't stop, right? I just love doing multiple things. So I'm an educator also with Proba Oral Health. That's an oral probiotic company. So I do lunch and learns with that. And then I have a CPR company. So I teach as well, but I also have a company that I have other instructors throughout the country, and they teach. And we specifically go to dental offices and make it really tailored to their particular office. We don't just watch a video and, go through the motions. We really boil it down to what would happen if there was an emergency in their office, from where the ambulance would come in to where, where we would bring the patient out for treatment. So we really get specific. So I really love that. And then StellaLife. So about 3 years ago, I needed a graft. And the director of this company, StellaLife, Debbie DeRocco, was speaking at one of my meetings here in Canton, Georgia. I'd never heard of the product, and it was just a perfect timing because my graft was coming up in about 2 weeks. So she gave me the recovery kit to try. You use all three products 3 times a day, starting 3 days ahead, and we'll break it down and talk about the products in just a little bit. So I took it to my periodontist. He'd never heard of it, but I gave it a try, and it was amazing. The next day, when the periodontist called, he asked how I was feeling, and I was having no pain. I hadn't had to take any pain medications at all. I certainly didn't want to go eat tortilla chips, but I was not having pain. And I do have to say that the third day I did take one pain pill because it was Mother's Day. Kids came over and my 3-year-old grandson headbutted me right in the mouth. So one pain pill for that. But other than that, I didn't need it at all. And the periodontist was shocked at how quickly that I healed up. So that was my experience. And then whenever I stepped out of clinical and I really wanted to represent a product. So instead of this company coming to me, I went to them. I said, I used your product. I believe in it. It works. I can definitely sell it. Of course, I'm in sales, but the most important thing that I do is just to educate and to share. So it is my pleasure that I can share with other hygienists that we have this product out here. It's an alternative to Chlorhexidine. And then maybe it's a good fit, maybe it's not, but my job basically is to share the good news. So thank you for allowing me to do that here today. So I'm going to let you take it over. I could talk all day.
I'll
take your podcast over, but I'm going to let you ask me some questions and steer me right along.
Yeah. Well, you just said something that is really important, I think, in starting off this conversation. So I think before we really dive into StellaLife, we got to start with a conversation about Chlorhexidine. And I know that one of the big frustrations for us as hygienists, as well as the patients, is the staining that can come, if our patients, aren't the best with their home care and are leaving plaque behind. But the bigger and more important catalyst for me to lean in and learn about StellaLife is that I've been hearing more and reading more about the toxicity of chlorhexidine. And it's really concerning to me, as my doctors still prescribe it for patients presenting with active perio. They use it for surgical irrigation and pre and post rinse for surgical procedures, whether it be extractions or implant placement. And so, the more I see and read, I think, I don't think this is the best thing that we could be using. And then not only do I think that, but there are numerous studies out showing cytotoxic effects of chlorhexidine use. And all of the links for these studies that we're talking about today, we will include on the podcast. So listeners, if you want to dig in, it's all here for you to really look at the studies and dive in. But I want to discuss what the studies show and what the true indications and contraindications are for chlorhexidine use, because obviously if our goal is to give our patients the best, highest level of care to promote eradication of infection and facilitate healing, we've got to make sure we're doing all the right things. So Tracy, I know you are very familiar with the studies and research done. So can you share with us the findings that you're aware of for chlorhexidine?
Correct. So as you mentioned, chlorhexidine is toxic. It's toxic to all the cells. Now, for my entire career up until the last couple of years, that's really all we had, because when there was a surgical procedure, scaling and root planing, we had to control the bacteria. So chlorhexidine was the go-to, but we all know that patients aren't very compliant because it tastes so bad and we hate that it stains. But in addition to that, a few years ago, studies reveal that it actually inhibits fibroblastic activity. So as long as someone is using the chlorhexidine, they're keeping the bacteria level down, but the fibroblasts that are so important in rebuilding, they are not thriving at all because they're being killed and they're being kept down as well. So, but we had no choice. A study recently also found that as long as a person is using chlorhexidine, it's actually increasing inflammation. So that was a surprising finding as well. So we have done studies. I say we don't pay for any studies. Studies are done by other parties, so we don't pay for play. So I'm really proud to say that it was a Dr. Michael Picos and Rick Myron that did the study I'm about to speak of with StellaLife. And this study, again, it showed that chlorhexidine is toxic. It killed the fibroblast. But what it did show, which was very amazing, is our StellaLife Vega Oral Care Rinse, the mint and the coconut flavors. Not only did they not kill the fibroblast actually liked the rinse. It's made of plants and minerals. They got excited and produced collagen more quickly. So it actually accelerates healing. It tastes great and it doesn't stain. And since it's natural, it can be used for every day. So ideally, our patients are going to be using this daily. And also a study out of Texas recently showed that even salt water kills fibroblasts. They did a study on StellaLife, chlorhexidine, and salt water, and I believe iodine. And it showed toxicity to the fibroblasts with all those except StellaLife as well.
Wow. So, it makes a whole lot of sense that, in light of what the indicated uses are for chlorhexidine, and specifically, this is interesting. I was reading, according to Mayo Clinic, which is a highly credible source in the medical community, they cite the only indicated use for the oral rinse of chlorhexidine is for gingivitis. And honestly, this makes sense because gingivitis does not require reattachment of the junctional epithelium for healing. Mm-hmm. And our goal in that place, obviously, is more of an issue of killing the bacteria and reducing inflammation. There's a really great article in today's RDH, and it was published January 6th of 2019, that specifically addresses the issue of using chlorhexidine for irrigation or as a rinse post in SPT or SRP. And I want to read an excerpt from this article. So this was published by, and please, forgive me if I butcher these names, but it was published by Palomini, Ziropaides, and Wicajesco, but it was a study about healing following periodontal surgery, which obviously is certainly more invasive than non-surgical therapy, but the general goal of tissue healing is the same. So in tissue healing, a fibrin clot first forms over a clean root surface. This clot transforms into a long junctional epithelium, clinically realized as pockets with reduced depths. The study explains, collectively, these studies all appear to support the vital importance of unimpeded absorption, adhesion, and maturation of the fibrin clot, or for formation of a connective tissue attachment over a long junctional epithelium, as discussed above. They elaborated, detachment of the maturing fibrin clot from the root surface owing to a lack of wound stabilization will inexorably compromise periodontal wound healing, ultimately jeopardizing the regenerative process. The fibroblast's role in creating the long junctional epithelium is of utmost importance. Aside from reduced swelling of tissue, this is how we achieve reduced probing depths and create an environment that is healthier and easier for our patients to clean at home. Chlorhexidine irrigation interferes with this healing process. The same article later states, and this was an abstract portion written by Gianelli, Cellini, Margari, Tonelli, and Tani, explained the destructive effects of chlorhexidine were known regarding bacteria, but they had concerns about damaging good cells as well. They stated chlorhexidine is highly cytotoxic in vitro and invites to a more cautioned use of the antiseptic in the oral surgery procedures. This substance is very powerful, too powerful to be used for post-SRP irrigation. Obviously, by the same logic, and based on the results we've reviewed, it also seems like the use of chlorhexidine is not a good idea when we are trying to achieve wound healing and diminish pain post-surgical procedures. So obviously, if chlorhexidine is not an ideal antibacterial rinse to use in these situations, what is and why? And that is why we're talking about StellaLife today, which has also been researched and compared directly to chlorhexidine. And I know those were some of the studies that you were just talking about, Tracy. And I've poured through these studies and done a lot of reading and a lot of highlighting, and it's crazy. You're right that chlorhexidine has been shown, it inhibits the fibroblast. It kills healthy cells as well, and it does induce inflammation. So there's got to be something better out there that's going to really facilitate healing in a natural way. And I think a lot of our patients these days are more holistically minded, and they are looking for more all natural solutions. So Tracy, tell us a little bit more about, StellaLife and the studies and why it does what it does. What are the active ingredients? How does it work?
So StellaLife coined the phrase intelligent healing. We believe that God put on the earth plants and minerals and things that we can utilize to heal our bodies. So StellaLife consists of 16 plants and minerals that are combined, and they work synergistically to do the things that we've talked about. They reduce inflammation, they accelerate healing, and also help with dry mouth. Our gel helps with aphthous ulcers. There's a wide variety, but a couple of the ingredients in the rinse, and again, the pronunciation. So we have A. indica, which is anti-gingivitis and swelling. And if you Google these and look it up, everything that I'm talking about is a beautiful plant. So A. indica is a green plant with a little yellow bulb. Canadula is an antiseptic. Echinacea is an antiseptic, and Plantago. Plantago is very interesting to me. It's a green leaf plant, and ancient healers used to use Plantago. They would take the leaf off the plant, soak it in water, and place it directly on a wound to accelerate the healing. So this is not new knowledge. This is just more holistic knowledge that we're applying today. There's also a plant called arnica. Any of you women that start to get maybe injections or anything in their face at the esthetician, the esthetician is going to say to take arnica tablets or eat a lot of pineapple, which is rich in arnica, because this actually helps to prevent bruising. So whenever we start using these products before the surgery, we're getting our tissue in a better state before the clinician ever touches the patient. In fact, hygienists are finding when patients start using StellaLife 3 days before their scale and root planning appointment, they come back and they're already seeing reduced pockets before they've even treated. So that tells you right there that it's really doing something. And we like it to be, the rinse is going to be the antiseptic. It's going to kill the bad bacteria, but it's going to actually almost feed the fibroblasts because they do like it. It doesn't kill them. They like it and they produce collagen more quickly. And then also we have a spray, which is a sublingual spray, because whenever someone is having a surgery, we like to get these plants and minerals into the tissue systemically. So this is a sublingual 3 to 4 pumps under the tongue, and then a topical gel. Now the gel and the rinse, they're the same ingredients, but one is sublingual spray and the other is going to be just applied topically because we want this to soak into the site. And this is going to be applied directly on the non-keratinized tissue. So if someone were having a scaling and root planing, they would rinse, they would 3 to 4 pumps of spray, and then a pea-sized amount, drag it right on the non-keratinized tissue. So this is called a surgical recovery kit. So it's good for any surgeries. A lot of our research has been done by oral surgeons regarding implants. And if the viewers go to the StellaLife website, there's a professionals tab. And if you click on that tab, there'll be a research tab and all the studies are actually there. And also there's some doctors' videos. One that's very, very interesting. It's an oral surgeon in Chicago, Dr. Tatch, and it actually shows he has just completed an all-on-6 implant case, and then it shows him putting the StellaLife on, and he comes back 40 minutes later, and you can already see the difference just visibly in the tissue, less bleeding, less inflammation. The tissue is more pink and firm looking, and so that's actually a video. So there's lots of different pictures, and everything there is true and real. Nothing is altered. The pictures are not doctored. There's many also testimonials from dentists, hygienists, and patients alike, how they have used StellaLife and it's really, really made a difference. So there's a wide range of applications. Like I said, do you want me to stop and talk more about the studies? I can ramble, I know.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. And so I'll just jump in right then. So we've been talking about the surgical recovery kit. So this is what we created first, the rinse, the spray, and the gel, and this is a peppermint rinse. The mission of StellaLife is to reduce the need for opioids. So if someone is using this ahead of time, and then they have their surgical procedure, they're going to have less inflammation, less pain. So they're going to have less need for opioids. The doctor that created this, it took him 16 years to find the right combination of plants and minerals that worked. His dream was to have an opioid-free oral surgery practice. So his studies in his office in 2015, from then until now, it has gone down threefold how many opioid prescriptions he's had to write.
Wow.
And, many people don't realize that probably, I think the statistics, don't quote me on this, are 1 in 10 people that become addicted to opioids may have gotten it from the dental office. For teenagers, getting their wisdom teeth out, sometimes that's the first taste of opioids that they get. And for someone with just the right gene, that can be the first step leading them down the road to an opioid addiction. And that's really, really a big problem that we have now. I know everyone probably is listening has had someone in their family, friends, or someone that they know that has been affected by the opioid crisis. So if we can, as a dental community, even save one life, it's worth it. So that is the mission of StellaLife, is to reduce the need for opioids with intelligent healing. So we're very proud that we can do it naturally. So for surgeries, we have the recovery kit. So what happened was people really loved the rinse. So they were coming back and asking if they could just buy the rinse separately. So we started selling the rinse separately. So we first started with the peppermint. Only 3/4 of a tablespoon or 10 milliliters is a serving or a dose, if you will. And there's 47 in here. So it's 470 milliliters. So you're going to shake it up just a little bit. 10 milliliters, the patient is going to swish for 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then ideally not eat or drink for about 20 minutes to give it time. It also has xylitol, so it's wonderful for dry mouth. So patients can use this as a daily antimicrobial rinse and also for dry mouth. A lot of patients that have burning mouth syndrome, lichen planus, mucositis, a lot of these patients that need this, the peppermint's a bit too much, even though it's very mild. Any peppermint flavor is burning. So we decided to create a more mild flavor. So we have created coconut flavor. This just came out this year, the beginning of 2021, the coconut flavor. But we knew the patients that select this. Some people select it because they like coconut, but a lot of times it's because it's more mild. So we added some protective healing ingredients, healing and protective ingredients in the coconut rinse. So we have the 2 rinses that are sold separately. And then what happened was we found out that there are other uses for the gel. So the gel, Dr. Scott Fromm did a study on the gel on aphthous ulcers. So he found that with the use of the gel, the duration of a cold sore, that it reduced the duration from 7 to 14 days untreated down to 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
It even beat out lasers. So the gel is wonderful to keep on hand for someone that has chronic ulcers. Parents that have kids in ortho, we know we get those terrible ulcerated areas. Parents just keep this on hand. They start to get a little ulcerated area. They start treating it right away, 2 to 3 times a day, and it heals it right up. Denture sores, basically any lesion in the mouth, this is going to be very helpful for. Mucositis, lichen planus. If any of you guys saw the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, if you remember, the dad on there used Windex. He thought Windex was a miracle. He would just put it on anything. So basically, this gel is the Windex for the oral cavity. Any lesion that you may have, it's going to help. And what's wonderful about this company, we believe in the products and we know that they work. So we stand behind them 100%. So we have a 100% guarantee. So if a patient ever feels like they don't have the results that we're talking about, we'll refund the money. If they purchased a coconut and they're not crazy about the flavor, we'll replace the product or refund the money. We'll never let anyone lose any money because we're here to help, not to hinder. And we're able to do that because it just rarely happens. So this is a wonderful company with a wonderful mission statement and natural ingredients and 100% guarantee. So we're really all about helping and healing people.
And I think I love the point you made about reducing opiates. Like, I think that should be a big mission of ours in the dental field, because we are part of the problem. But I want to speak to, obviously I am a big facts and research girl. That's important to me. But I'm also a hands-on girl. And I am really interested. One of my goals for 2022 is to get StellaLife, in our locations of our practices and start using this for our patients. But I wanted to kind of see for myself how it worked. So Tracy and I kind of got together beforehand so that I could give this a go. And it was 2 weeks ago, my 16-year-old son had his wisdom teeth removed, and at my own practice that I work in. And so I said to the doctor beforehand, I said, hey, I want to try this out. Please don't, no chlorhexidine in the picture. I just want to use the StellaLife. We did the recovery kit. We did the 3 days before. The day of surgery, he rinsed right before he went into surgery. And then when he had the teeth extracted after they had done the sutures, they put just a small drop of gel onto each site so it kind of roll in and soak in. And then we did 3 days after of the 3 items as well. And he healed beautifully. We actually did it the Friday before Thanksgiving because it was very important to him to be able to eat Thanksgiving dinner. So he had that with no problem. In fact, it was, I think 4 days after surgery, we went out and got Mexican food and he was eating tortilla chips, which might not be the best idea, but yeah. And in fact, we went to the orthodontist about a week and a half later, and the orthodontist was amazed, saying I wouldn't have known anything happened back there. He just healed very, very quickly. He did not need, the pain medications. We used a little bit of ibuprofen just to, help reduce any kind of swelling. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with the whole process. And in fact, teenage boys don't always like to stick to what they're supposed to be doing. And so when it was 3 days after and he didn't have to do it anymore, he just stopped, and he complained a little bit one day. He said, oh, one spot is kind of bothering me. I said, well, why don't you go rinse and use the gel? And he came back, he goes, yeah, that felt better. So yeah, he had a really great response to it. So it has just piqued my curiosity even more, and I want to see what it can do for our patients.
Right. So ideally, we like the patient to continue more than 3 days. We like them to continue until it's all gone, to use it for the full course. So that's what we definitely prefer. But even with 3 days, you really saw a difference, right?
Right, for sure. And I feel like it seems to me like this would be a good idea. Obviously, like you mentioned, to have our patients do this prior to doing NSPT or scaling and root planing therapy. But I honestly think too, I can see a benefit of having your patient pre-rinse with it, chair side, and then using the gel immediately after, just to facilitate that healing right away.
Right. Yes. For scaling and root planing. So clinicians do not have to remember everything, because we have created a handy dandy clinician's guide. I'm not sure if you can see it on here, but these are laminated and we provide them for each operatory. So you're not going to have to remember, oh, this patient has lichen planus, or they have dry mouth, or we need SRP. It's going to let you know which products or combination of products that would be best for that particular application. So as far as scaling and root planing, if you're doing a severe case of full mouth, they may want the full recovery kit. But if you're doing, a moderate periodontitis, you could do just the rinse and the gel. Remember remember that the gel and the spray are the same. So the only addition in the kit is the spray. So what ideally you will do is, when you diagnose, you're going to send them home with the rinse and the gel. They're going to start using the rinse. Hopefully they're going to use it every day, 2 to 3 times, and forever. You want this to replace anything that they use over the counter, again, because it kills those bad bacteria such as P. gingivalis, fragilis, Hygiene. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing them, but those really bad anaerobic bacteria that live in the sulcus, it takes those down, but then doesn't harm the fibroblast. I was trying to think of an analogy for this the other day, and this kind of came to mind. If you think about it, it's like a battle of the mouth. Actually, we use that when we talk about Proba, but it's a battle. So instead of going in like you would with Chlorhexidine and bombing, when you're bombing a city, then you're going to get everybody, good guys, bad guys, buildings, everything. But that's all we've had forever is a bomb. But now we have a smart army that can go in, infiltrate. It can pick out and get the bad guys, but it can save the bad guys. And then this is a little silly, but then the good guys are like, yay. And so they start building their houses. So anyway, that's my silly little analogy. So it can specifically target the bad guys and not the good guys. So that's really, really great about this. So your patient's they're going to use their rinse, and then the gel's going to start 3 days ahead. Now, chairside, in every operatory, every procedure, nowadays we like to pre-rinse, right? Because COVID's out there. So StellaLife is great for a pre-rinse. We tested it on COVID. Now, we didn't go a strain specific. We just did, I'm sorry, not COVID, Corona in general. And then we found that the coconut and the mint take care of Corona in general in 1.5 to 2 minutes. So this is great for a pre-rinse for every procedure, and only 10 milliliters is all that you need. So what you're going to do with the scaling and root planing, you'll have them rinse, you'll do your SRP, then you're going to irrigate with this, just about probably, normal irrigation amount. We don't want to dilute this. Right. We don't want to put it in our Cavitron. We don't want patients to put it in the water pick either, because we need it straight. They're going to shake it up. You're going to irrigate, put a little bit of the pea size amount on there, send them home. They're going to continue to rinse and continue to put the gel on. So doctors that are doing surgery are seeing healing at 1 week that they normally see in 3 to 4 weeks. And that's pretty standard. So, and again, doctors, if they decide that they want to try StellaLife in their practice and for any reason feel like it's not a good fit, then we refund all their money. So we're not going to let our clinicians be out a penny. And doctors do get 30% off. They get a 30% discount. There are some offices that just do not like to have products in the office at all. And for those practices, we have a pharmacy program. So I would reach out to a local, usually a mom and pop pharmacy. We want to keep the business in the community. And let's see, I have it somewhere here. So we set the pharmacy up with the product. So the pharmacy is going to be making the profit, which is great for our local community. And we give the doctor they look like business cards. Again, I had one here a moment ago. We call them prescription cards, and they have all the products in little boxes. So the clinician would just check off the box of what they want the patient to purchase and send them to the local pharmacy. And again, we ideally like patients to start 3 days ahead, but they can start right that day. Like if they come in emergency extraction, you can give them the kit to start that day. And the results are still very, very good with the healing, even if they didn't start it ahead of time.
That's awesome. Brittany, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just, Tracy, I was very much looking forward to this episode because I wanted to learn a lot more about what StellaLife does and the differences between Chlorahexidine and StellaLife. And I've been using Chlorhexidine, basically as indicated without realizing that that's like the real only indication is to use it when you don't need that long JE, or we're not trying to regenerate, or regrow, the junctional epithelium and try and get new, like some of the new pseudo attachment going on to shrink the pocket from the bottom up kind of thing. So this is very interesting information. I would really like to get involved with implementing this and trying this on some of my patients too. I think that, Chlorhexidine is really overutilized, and I just see a lot of that secondary inflammatory response. Like I can see that when the Chlorhexidine has, it builds tartar and builds staining. And when my patients come back in after using it the way that they're supposed to be using it with limited home care after surgical procedures because they've got a wound in their mouth, and it does, the secondary effect is that you have more gingival inflammation. Like there's more stuff there. We've rebuilt a local irritant. So like if we can avoid that whole cycle, like the whole trickle effect, why not? And it sounds like there's a lot of research and anecdotal evidence that this is a good idea. So like, I think that everyone should get a little curious about this, because in my brain, it's been like a matter of time of like, okay, Chlorhexidine, I understand why it's not good. I understand, why it's toxic and that it inhibits fibroblasts. And that's a big problem in healing after SRP, but what is there in its place? Is it like that or nothing? So this is a good alternative, it seems like, but I'm just soaking it all in because I'm not very familiar with this product. So I appreciate your time and educating us about this today.
Right. And, whenever I first started with the company, I'm a research person too. I discovered, which I had no idea, that Chlorhexidine is actually banned in some countries. That was very surprising to me that in the United States, we're using something that other countries have banned. That is scary. So, but then again, we had to kill the bacteria. We didn't have an alternative. So I'm just really excited that there is an alternative, and I get to share the news about that. And it's not just an alternative, it's natural plants and minerals. Right. If you, this is not actually the plants, but whenever I go to a seminar, I take this and put it on the table, because this reminds me of StellaLife. If you looked up all the ingredients in StellaLife, you're going to see a beautiful bouquet. Greens, orange, yellow, pinks. They're just natural. And again, the xylitol is added. It does have propolis, which is made from bees, to help with the binding agents, essential oils. And, I've mentioned these different, the recovery kit, the rinse, and the gel. Something I haven't mentioned yet is in response to all the bad hand sanitizers and the recalls, we created a StellaLife hand sanitizer. I think you guys have tried this, and this is not smell-o-vision, but there's not a single person that I have not put this on their hands and it smells wonderful. What they're smelling is lemongrass. So we have 80% ethanol derived from nature, so it's definitely going to kill the germs. And this again was tested on Corona, not strain specific, but Corona in general, and it takes care of that in 30 seconds. But in addition to the ethanol, we have lemongrass, lavender, tea tree oil, vitamin vitamin E and aloe vera. So we're killing the germs, but then it heals the hands, and it's aromatherapy. It makes your hands feel like a spa treatment. So when we're working, we're putting on that hand sanitizer all day. Sometimes it can be sticky. We can't get our gloves on. It's not that way at all with this. It smells good. It heals, nourishes, and you can slip your gloves right on. So this is our newest product. And there's lots of things that we work on in the background. We're not limited to these products. We're, our lab, and we're constantly working on new products for that are plant and mineral based and holistic based to help the patients out there.
Awesome. Well, like I said, it's my goal to get our practice moving forward with StellaLife this upcoming year, 2022. How do our listeners, what's the best place for them to go to find out more about StellaLife?
So you can go to my daughter said I didn't have to say www, but it's www.StellaLife.com. And if you want to order, there's a 30% discount code, would be my code, which is 30 off TJJ, Tracy Jean Jacobs. But the best way is to contact me directly, because we don't just sell the products and put you out there. We are a small company, and we have a handful of product specialists. So I would be your product specialist. I would be directly working with you and your team, and we train you. We don't just give you the products and give you some literature. We do a webinar, a team training, because we want everyone to understand the products, because you guys as hygienists know, we may give this to the patient in the back. They're going to go up front to Sally and to check out and say, Sally, do I really need this? We want Sally to know how to answer that question, which the simple answer is yes, because this is going to help you heal quicker and have less pain. But we teach every member of the staff how to implement StellaLife, because if the entire team is not implementing, oftentimes it just doesn't happen. And we're always there. So when you get new staff members, you just reach out to me. We jump on a Zoom. I explain the products, how to explain them to the patients. And I'm always there if there's a problem. If you can't get the pump to work, or your patient doesn't like the flavor, or you're not seeing the healing, we're always there for you to help you step by step. So my email is tjacobs@StellaLife.com. You can email me directly, or you can give me a call at 770-598-4755. And just to view the products at StellaLife.com. 30 off TJJ, but really the best way is to contact me first, because I like to share with you, because it may be that maybe every office doesn't need all the products. I like to get to know your particular practice so that I can help recommend the products that I think may work best for your practice, and then we can add the others, because we're about helping. And that's it. I'm proud to be here. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you guys. And I'm glad, Charissa, that you had a great experience. Yes. So you guys share this podcast, share our information with everyone, because we want all of our patients to heal quicker, and we want to help patients and not harm them with toxic chlorhexidine, opioids. That's not what we're all about. We're about healing and helping, not harming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time and your knowledge and information. And, for any of our listeners out there that, contact Tracy directly. I love that you shared your personal information. If you have more questions that you want to ask Brittany or you can always check us out on our Mighty Network app. Just download Mighty Network. It's a free app, and search Bulletproof Hygiene, and come join our community of like-minded professionals that are all trying to get our patients as healthy as possible and lean on one another to do so. So thank you everybody for listening and your time this week. We hope that you have, gained a lot of great information and some excitement, and get curious. Check out StellaLife and see what it can do for you. Everybody have a great week.
One more thing, Charissa. If they contact me, what we do is we call it a StellaLife Learning. We do a Zoom with the entire office, absolutely no pressure or obligation. And if you do that, then we send you a complimentary full-size gel and hand sanitizer. So this is a great way, just 20 minutes on a Zoom, get some product, so you can kind of try it before you buy.
That is great because I know a lot of times hygienists, will hear or see something and they go back to their team and they're like, hey, I want to try this. And the team's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much, Tracy. It was nice seeing you again. And
You
thanks for sharing your wealth of knowledge here.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too.
Bye-bye, everybody.